your brain is literally shrinking. Not from age, not from disease, but from something you probably don't even realize is happening. Right now, there are millions of people whose brains are physically changing shape because they have no friends. And here's the twisted part. It's not their fault. Most of them didn't choose this. They're not antisocial. They're not broken. They just ended up here. And the longer they stay isolated, the harder it becomes to escape, because their brain is rewiring itself to survive alone. This is the psychology of people who have no friends. Let's get something straight. When we talk about people with no friends, we're not talking about introverts who need alone time. We're not talking about someone between friend groups. We're talking about true, deep isolation. The kind where weeks pass without a real conversation, where your phone doesn't buzz, where you can't remember the last time someone asked how you were doing. And here's what nobody tells you. This doesn't usually happen because someone is weird or unlikable. It happens because of disappointment, past betrayals, social situations that went wrong. Maybe they were bullied. Maybe they trusted the wrong people. Maybe they moved cities and rebuilding felt impossible, so they pulled back. Just a little at first, for protection. But protection becomes a prison.
Wait, before we go further, did you know your brain treats social rejection the same way it treats physical pain? Same neural pathways, same brain regions lighting up. Your brain literally can't tell the difference between a broken bone and a broken friendship. Wild, right? So when someone gets hurt socially, their brain remembers. It builds walls. Not consciously, it's survival mode. And those walls, they start doing something strange.
Here's where it gets dark. Prolonged isolation actually reshapes your brain. The parts responsible for reading social cues, they weaken. The neural pathways that help you connect with others, they fade. It's like a muscle you stop using, except this muscle controls your ability to make friends in the first place. So you end up in this nightmare loop. You're isolated, which makes your social skills rust, which makes connecting harder, which keeps you isolated. But the brain doesn't just shut down. It adapts.
People without friends develop something incredible. An inner world so rich, so detailed, that it becomes its own universe. They think deeper. They observe everything. That person in the coffee shop, they notice 20 things about them you missed. They develop massive emotional intelligence, just not with people anymore, with themselves, with patterns, with human nature. They become experts at reading rooms, analyzing behavior, understanding motivations. From the outside, always from the outside. You know what's funny? Some of the greatest philosophers, writers, and thinkers in history had almost no friends. Nietzsche, Kafka, Tesla. Were they lonely? Absolutely. Were they also seeing things the rest of us couldn't? Also yes. But here's the cruel twist. All that observation and emotional intelligence raises their standards. They start seeing through small talk, through fake friendships, through surface-level connections, and they want something real. But real is rare, so they stay alone, waiting for a connection that matches the depth they've built inside. Let's talk about what this actually looks like day to day. They wake up without texts to answer. They eat meals in silence. They have conversations in their head, full debates actually. They'll imagine what they'd say if someone asked about their day, then realize no one will. Weekends are the worst. Everyone else is busy with plans, and they're refreshing the same apps, watching other people live lives that feel impossible to reach. Social anxiety isn't just feeling nervous. For them, it's a full system shutdown, because their brain, after months or years of isolation, now treats social situations as threats. Heart racing, mind going blank, that voice screaming, "You don't belong here," gets louder every time. And before you think, just go make friends, That's like telling someone who hasn't run in 5 years to just go sprint a marathon. The muscles aren't there anymore. Here's where the mind really messes with you. When you have no friends, you start questioning everything about yourself. What's wrong with me becomes a daily thought. You replay past interactions like crime scenes, analyzing what you did wrong. Every awkward moment from 10 years ago suddenly feels important. You start believing you're defective, that other people have some social manual you never received, that friendship is a secret club you're permanently banned from. But the truth? You're not defective, you're adapted. Adapted to survive in isolation. And those adaptations, the caution, the walls, the high standards, they make sense given what you've been through. They just also keep you stuck.
Let's flip this for a second. People without friends develop iron-level independence. They learn to handle everything alone, fix their own problems, manage their own emotions. They don't need validation from a group. They're not performing for anyone. They know themselves better than most people ever will. Years of solitude force self-awareness. They've sat with their thoughts, their fears, their patterns. They've done the internal work most people avoid. And their creativity? Off the charts. Because creativity thrives in solitude. Without the noise of social obligations, their mind wanders into places others never reach. But here's the paradox that'll mess with your head. All these strengths came from something painful. Growth from suffering. Wisdom from isolation. It's like gaining superpowers from radiation. Technically powerful, but you wouldn't recommend the process.
Most people without friends didn't start this way. They had friends once, maybe in childhood, maybe in college. Then life happened. Graduations scattered people, jobs pulled friends to different cities, relationships changed dynamics. And slowly, without anyone noticing, the circle shrank. Or maybe it was one big event, a betrayal, a falling out, a rejection that hit too hard, and they decided the risk wasn't worth it anymore. Either way, they ended up here, in this strange space between wanting connection and being terrified of it, between feeling invisible and preferring invisibility, between loneliness and safety.
Here's what society gets wrong. They treat friendlessness like a personal failure. Like if you just put yourself out there or joined a club, everything would fix itself. But that ignores the psychology, the protective mechanisms, the brain changes, the adaptive patterns that now control the system. You can't logic your way out of this. You can't force connection when your entire nervous system is wired to prevent it. Recovery isn't about making friends. It's about slowly, carefully rewiring the brain, building trust with yourself first, proving to your nervous system that connection doesn't always equal pain. And honestly, some people stay this way forever. Not because they're broken, but because the world that hurt them never changed, and they decided surviving alone was better than risking that pain again. Can you blame them? Friendlessness isn't a flaw, it's a response, a complicated, messy, deeply human response to living in a world that sometimes fails to see us. The people experiencing this aren't antisocial monsters. They're survivors of social trauma. They're people who wanted connection so badly that when it kept failing, their brain said, "Never again." And yes, isolation changes you. It makes connection harder. It strengthens some parts while weakening others. But it also creates depth, understanding, a perspective on human connection that people swimming in friendships never develop. The absence of friends reveals something about the human condition. We need each other, but we also hurt each other. And sometimes the hurt wins.
So if you recognize yourself in this, if you've been living in isolation, watching life happen to other people, convinced something's fundamentally wrong with you, maybe nothing's wrong at all. Maybe your brain did exactly what it was supposed to do. protect you. The question isn't, why don't I have friends? The real question is, what experience taught your brain that being alone was safer than being connected? And when you figure that out, everything else starts to make sense. But that answer, that's something most people never find, because it requires going back to a moment they've been running from for years. And what they find there changes everything about how they see themselves and